Peace, your buddy, peace and harmony with you here today. We are focusing in, diving deep to understand a little bit more in depth the psychopathic bond, the deliberate and calculated manipulation that a psychopath will present to those individuals who they are targeting, who they are focusing on, who they are identifying in a situation, in a circumstance, in a group, or really to identify those individuals who they are looking to target. And a psychopathic bond is essentially created in a similar pattern that you see within the narcissist. So a narcissist will also engage in the idealization, the devaluing, and the discarding phase of the relationship. And now the psychopathic bond is in the beginning, it's really about them getting you addicted or hooked on them. And because they don't have the ability to bond, to attach to people, to really have relationships, by virtue of their neurobiology, by virtue of their very low dopamine levels, at kind of their baseline rate, they have a very low dopamine presentation in their system. So this is responsible for kind of a feeling of restlessness, of agitation, of boredom. And so they need to really escape this feeling of boredom through high risk or through targeting behaviors where they basically manipulate people in order to feel stimulated, to feel alive. And the psychopathic bond also, because of these individuals and the neurobiology, the brain regions, the left interinsular and then the prefrontal cortex, the inactivity in these regions, which are responsible for kind of the emotional content of words and their ability to ascertain the emotional content of relationships and being valued and being meaningful and participating in basic, normal human bonding, relationship basically, that's built over time. They have an inability in these brain regions to create that bond or that connection. So the psychopathic bond, because oftentimes they are indeed aware and conscious of this, they then will target people to become transfixed, addicted, or psychopathically bonded with them or hooked into them in a way that is really addicted. So the bond, they're very good and adept at getting you to connect to them or be bonded to them, but not vice versa. So the psychopathic bond, they'll make themselves very charming, very alluring, very fascinating. They will tend to seem to be the answer to your prayers or what you're looking for or someone to lean on, or they seem to be very steadfast in terms of their personality. They don't seem to have a lot of fear, anxiety. They might present as, someone who might be a good listener, but usually they're not really listening. It's more the psychopathic stare, which is really that psychopathic gaze, which is really kind of empty. And a lot of people misinterpret this as being a sexual arousal. So the gaze, which is very piercing, a lot of people, are very uncomfortable in the presence of a psychopathic gaze because they can feel almost a radiation of pain, like an emotional pain. It really kind of transmutes from their body, this sort of emotional emptiness, this vapidness. And so you see a lot of this hyperactivity from a psychopath to really sort of conceal and cover up this inner baseline state of boredom, of emptiness, of lack of connection to people. And so the psychopathic bond is really created where they get you basically addicted to them or bonded to them or in love with them. And yet they're not able to reciprocate in like. So if you look at this phase, this is how they get people who they are their targets. They get them to be enmeshed with them, but it's very calculated and deliberate in the fact that they know that they are not able to commit. They are not able to return and reciprocate in like. So it becomes manipulative and deliberate and very insidious in the fact that they know that they're not able to reciprocate the relationship. They know that they then set up a series of pathological lies and manipulation of those individuals with whom they are targeting, and very deliberately leading them along a path. And a path basically where, you are available for them or constantly thinking about them. Really, that's how the psychopathic bond is created, is that they really break people down. In that they all are always causing you to think about them, and then really feel a fear of losing this relationship. So there's a dependency, there's an addiction, there's a psychological takeover, if you will, of this person over other people. And versus being independent, versus being autonomous, versus acting from your own strength and your own trust and your own autonomy, your own independence, this individual, and it's not so much that it's a crutch, but it's more the way that they are able to complete this psychopathic bond, where they see that people are allured in and attracted in and really sort of dependent then on their charm, on their idiosyncratic ways, which originally become very fascinating to the individuals when they're engaging in this original psychopathic bond, where the things that they say, the strange quips that they will say out of context, oftentimes get people's attention. And these psychopathic tells are there, but yet the individuals don't realize that these are being set up really as seeds in the beginning of the relationship. They might say things like, "I'm dangerous," or they might say things like, "I have ice running through my veins," or they might say things like, "You know I love you, don't you?" Or, "You know that I'm promising myself to you forever, don't you?" And they'll do these sort of test statements and to see where people are at. Yet when they really look back, they realize that they did not feel a presence of love, understanding, and acceptance. When they look back, they feel that this person was very distant from them in emotional presence, and really being supportive and there for them, and really being connected, being able to listen, really being able to have empathy. When you know that someone gets your feelings, they know what you've been through, there's a sort of a lasting feeling of a relationship, like that person, yes, they were there for me. It's something you can really feel. And the psychopath, in the psychopathic bond, is very one-sided, meaning that the psychopath is very adept and skilled at getting others to bond to them. And so this is very unfulfilling, but it's very hurtful. And part of the brainwashing is that, the people will look to them and feel that they have been manipulated, betrayed, and conned. And it's basically because it's a sham relationship. It's a shell relationship. It's something where they had presented the feeling that this relationship was going to be culminated or completed, yet this individual had no intention of really being there for the long run. They had no intention of that, but they engage in then pathological lying in order to continue that psychopathic bond, until eventually this individual becomes bored, or they get exposed, or the individual is then trying to make certain boundaries with them, and this individual is not able to obey those boundaries. There's a violation of boundaries, there's a disrespect, and then the individual then wants to break it off with them because they are uncomfortable, because of the boundary violations, because of a lack of respect, or because the basic balance of the relationship is not able to be met. And also then, there's also oftentimes a boundary violation of time, of physical space, of sexuality, where eventually it becomes very dysfunctional and it's questioned. And it takes people different lengths of time before they arrive at this understanding and awareness. So this can go on for weeks, it can go on for months, it can even go on for years. And the longer it goes on, the longer it is to really heal from. So, have some compassion for yourself when it comes to kind of cleaning the slate of this psychopathic bond in an individual. If you've been with this person for quite a long time, then the healing process is going to take a little bit longer. But it does take kind of unplugging from them. It does take the understanding and then separating your humanness from their inhumanness and realizing that you're a much different person than this type of individual, and that that is okay, and that you are safe and you are really free of that, because chances are these people, they might stalk, they might hoover, but they will tend to move on very quickly. They do not really get attached to people. They can get married, they can have long-standing careers, but it's really just that they know it is an act. It has nothing to do with a genuine feeling. It is really about just them controlling and manipulating people to get whatever it is that they want. Very parasitic in nature is the psychopathic bond. They will target people for sex, for money, for relationships, for contacts, not necessarily relationships, but they will exploit people for who they know and who they can introduce them to. So they very much treat people like stepping stones. So if you can take some solace and some peace, realizing that these people generally move on very quickly, and they don't have, within the brain region and their processing, they don't really have a lot of memory, and they tend to not carry things into their next relationship. They're very much just on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And they don't have any sort of emotional connection, and hence their inability to learn from their mistakes. They might just say, oh, I got caught, or, they figured this out, but they generally keep going in that respect. So if they have moved on, I think that's the gratitude you can feel, is that when they do move on, at least have a gratitude that they have moved on. And, hopefully you can, like I do on this channel, shine a light that there are individuals who do exploit, take advantage, and who are very different in their psychological makeup from the mass or the bulk of society. And it's not just that there's these people who are different or unique or creative in a positive sense. Is it understanding that there's people who have, based on their neurology, a pathology or a personality construct that can be very destructive. And so if you found yourself engaging in this relationship with this individual or an encounter, really look at it as such an encounter. And you were temporarily seduced by this individual. You were ensnared, you were entrapped. But, you are free now. You are emerging from that, and you are all the wiser, smarter for the experience. So really take stock of your lessons learned, and take gratitude really for where you're at in a feeling of safety in your life at this present moment. And carry that with you through the rest of your days, in knowing that you are free, you are you, and you are safe, and you can live really in connection with your body, your mind, and your spirit in alignment after realizing this. And that connection within you will get stronger and stronger with each and every day, but you have to call into mind that gratitude and really come back into your heart and begin to trust, and you can begin to love again and trust again, and not just remain in that isolated, fearful state that can oftentimes occur after a psychopathic bond with an individual. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.